Hello and welcome to the CinemATL podcast for January 2018, our first podcast of the year.
Yeah, you see a new setup.
Yeah, we got microphones and
Absolutely.
mixers and stuff.
It's getting pro-er, is that a word?
For those of you who have joined us for the first time, the CinemATL podcast is a monthly podcast which examines the world of filmmaking through the lens of local Atlanta filmmakers. That would be myself, I'm one of your hosts, Michael D. Friedman.
And I'm your other host, Martin Kelly.
And what are we going to discuss today?
Oh, today we've got a year-end sort of wrap-up. We're going to actually talk about Oscar nominees, I think. We're going to do our usual format. For those who don't know, we always talk about industry news first.
Yep. We start with industry news, and then we dive into a top three.
The top three list.
And we're going to discuss this time our top three films from last year, 2017.
Right.
And then we normally do a big movie review. But
now we're going to be reviewing the Oscar list.
Yeah, we're going to look over the Oscar list and talk about what we think deserves to be nominated.
Yeah, where they went right, where they went wrong, that kind of thing.
And maybe like who we think might win, who might not. But yeah, and then...
and normally we do a technique topic, but I think the Oscar discussion is going to take up the time of a technique topic.
The only thing I think that we could have talked about it for a technique topic is how to win awards, but I don't really know the secrets
I don't win enough awards to be an expert on that.
Yeah. And then, as usual, we will wrap it up this month with the movie game, which is just a fun game that we do at the end of every podcast. So.
Yeah, and we appreciate you joining us. And if you've joined us before, you know that we are always asking for what you're doing. We want to hear your thoughts on the show, of course. We want you to share the show and let people know about the show. But we also want to hear what you're doing, especially if you're in the Georgia film community.
Yes, and you can do that by tweeting us at CinemATL, or you can tweet me personally at Badger33.
Or me at Marte_real1.
Yep, and then we're also available, to get feedback on our Facebook page. You can look up CinemATL on Facebook, or go to our website at CinemATL.com.
And of course, you can listen to us everywhere from iTunes to SoundCloud to Stitcher to
multitude of things.
Absolutely.
On YouTube, you can watch us.
You can watch us.
If you really want to watch a podcast being made, you can.
A lot of people wonder what goes into podcasts, and not much.
Now we have
but now a lot. Look,
we have microphones and mixing boards.
And it causes a whole new level of technical difficulties. But we won't even talk about that because it's supposed to be seamless.
It is. It's seamless. All right, so why don't we just jump into some industry news?
Sure.
All right, industry news.
So, we usually talk a little bit about what's coming up that's filmed in Atlanta, and then we talk about what's filming in Atlanta, and then we do some other industry news topics. And today's no different. We'll do the same thing.
Yes.
So what's first up?
Well, first up, we'll talk about some of the stuff that's actually out recently. There's a bunch of new shows that came out at the beginning of the year, the mid-season shows. Some of the bigger ones that were filmed in Atlanta are Black Lightning, which is the new CW.
Right, and our buddy works on that show.
Yeah.
He does the special costume, right?
Yeah, I don't know if we're allowed to name names, but I don't know what the deal is with that. But yes, so Black Lightning is a superhero, of course, on CW. I don't know if it's part of the DC. I mean, it's DC comic, but I don't think they're working him into the other CW shows.
Oh, he's not
I think
part of that? I thought.
Separate from the Arrowverse or whatever they call it.
Okay.
But anyway,
I did not know that.
Another show that came out actually just past Sunday is The Resident on Fox.
Yeah,
that's a medical drama.
Yet another medical drama.
Medical drama. But yeah, it takes place at Chastain Park Memorial Hospital, which I didn't understand
that.
How you could memorialize a park.
I didn't realize that was the name of the hospital.
That's the name of the hospital.
That's pretty cool.
It's actually the High Museum, but.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It looked like it was.
Yeah.
But
So, that's Hollywood's take on Atlanta, but it's filmed in Atlanta, so that's good. And then The Quad is in its second season.
Yeah.
It's back on BET, and that actually just premiered last night.
Last night, right.
When we
yeah.
were filming this.
And the great E. Roger Mitchell is part of that cast.
And that's on BET, so if you want to check that out. And then I know we talk about it every podcast, it seems like, but there was actually some news on this. The series Atlanta is coming back, and they announced the premiere date of March 1st, but they've also announced that they've changed the title to Atlanta Robin Season, which I don't understand.
Well, I think,
probably plays into
part of the theme of the second season, probably. But, it's interesting.
I don't know why they have to change the name, but...
I think...
The press release says they changed the name, which is like, it's not just like a subtitle of the...
Really? So that's really officially the name of the show now?
I don't know. That's according to the press release. So
okay.
It's a little strange, but look for Atlanta Robin Season.
Robin Season.
And March 1st.
It's not part of the DC universe, right?
And then stuff that's currently filming that's not out yet. There's some new TV shows, or a old TV show, I guess. It's Scream is actually the third season will be filming in Atlanta. But it's
the first filming in Atlanta,
right? First filming in Atlanta. They shot the first 2 seasons in Louisiana.
Yeah, Scream is a fun series, so looking forward to seeing it.
I haven't watched that show, but I heard that it's like an all-new cast this season. Is it one of those shows that's like an anthology every season?
I think it's... I didn't see the second season, I'll be honest. First season was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they did a complete changeover.
Well, they said, this year it's going to be complete. I don't know if that's part of their scenario or not, right. But that's coming. And then there's a new AMC series called Lodge 49, which we'll be shooting here as well. I did a little bit of research about what this is about. It's about an ex-surfer who joins I guess it's like a moose lodge or like a Masons, or you know what I mean. And
I thought it was maybe another Vin Diesel vehicle where they needed the surfer for a tactical team.
No, only in XXX movies.
Oh, okay.
But so this is a new AMC series, and AMC puts together some quality shows. So
definitely
should be pretty good.
Should be good.
The synopsis I was reading said that he was from like Long Beach, so I don't know how they're going to film. I don't know if it's supposed to take place in Long Beach.
That's going to be
seems
interesting.
Kind of a weird.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if they did say they're shooting in Georgia, not Atlanta, so maybe
they will do some
Savannah or something
down
like that.
The shore.
The shore, yeah.
What about Venom?
Venom. We're moving to the movies now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Venom has been shooting here for a while. And they actually posted a photo of Tom Hardy, but they haven't revealed any of the suit or anything like that yet for Venom. And those of you that don't know what Venom is, it's a spinoff of the Spider-Man movies. It doesn't have Spider-Man in it, so it's going to be interesting to see.
Wow, really?
Because in the comic books, Venom is totally tied to Spider-Man and his origin story. So I don't know. Maybe this isn't an origin story. Hopefully it's not an origin story. We don't need another origin story.
Exactly.
But, so it's been interesting to see Tom Hardy plays the lead in it. Eddie Brock, who was played by Topher Grace in the Spider-Man 3 original. So it's kind of I think Tom Hardy's a little bit more to the comic book version than Topher Grace was. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah, that will be. And then I heard about another film.
Yeah, you said something. I haven't heard of this one yet.
Apparently, Son of Shaft is filming here with the great Samuel L. Jackson of What's in Your Wallet fame, or Snakes on a Plane fame,
or Rise Up, Falcons. What do Falcons do?
I didn't want to give him credit for that because we fell a little short this year of Rising Up.
But so is that like a remake of Shaft, or a
it's
sequel?
Kind of a sequel. It's a sequel to Shaft, because you remember they did remake Shaft a few years back. Yeah. Where he was, and I think this is just a continuation of that new series, the rebooted Shaft.
They're doing a lot of Sun stuff. I saw a trailer for the new Crocodile Dundee movie where...
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, it's, what's his name?
McBride.
Danny McBride plays Crocodile Dundee's son.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
But that wasn't filmed in Atlanta. Not to get anybody confused.
Yeah, that's right. So we don't care about it, really. Not well. We might. We'll see.
That's what's kind of filming now and what's been filmed. There's a lot more stuff going on.
There's plenty of stuff going on.
And, we encourage you, if you're looking for work,
to break into the business.
You can look up the Help Wanted hotline on Georgia.org.
Georgia.org, yeah.
For some... tips on
there's usually a way to submit your resume and and see about getting on with one of these productions.
And now we got some other news to discuss.
Should we do the good news or the bad news?
Well, let's do. Well, I don't know. Mine might not be good. Well, which one do you want to?
Oh, you go ahead.
I'm going to do a little plug for.
There's good news and bad news about one.
Yeah, there's good news and bad news about Walking Dead, but I want to do a little plug before that.
Yeah, definitely do that.
A film that I acted. We use acted as with finger quotes. A film that I acted in called Stragglers will be playing on February 1st as part of Cineprov.
Hey, I acted in that movie too.
Yeah, but well,
I did. Didn't I
was one of the leads.
Oh, he was one of the leads.
So Martin did act in it as well, but I think mine was more of acting. Yours was actual acting, but. For those of you that don't know what Cineprov is, it's almost like Mystery Science Theater, but done in a live audience, and the people riff on the movie. And so this time they're riffing it in front of the cast and crew of the film. So
it should be fun.
It's going to be fun to see.
Definitely. Isn't this a return?
This is actually the second time they've done Stragglers.
So that's how good Stragglers is.
That's how ripe it is for riffing, I guess.
Well, we've seen how beloved these kind of movies are, though.
Yeah, no, maybe we're the next Room. Maybe the Room, not Room.
The Room.
But yeah, so they'll encourage you to check it out. It's at the Plaza, February 1st.
Nice.
You can order tickets now online if you want to, or show up at the door. And come out and have fun with us as we, look back on a movie we shot 10 years ago, maybe something like that.
At least
when we were young and naive, and
it was more than 10 now, I think, because I think I went with it to the AFM in 2008. So it had to have been shot earlier than that. So cool. That should be fun.
So now moving on to other news.
So the big show in town. I mean, really, realistically, this is the big dog of TV shows in town. As much as some of the other ones get a lot of press and acclaim, The Walking Dead is like the big dog. So there's news about Walking Dead. First off,
let's start with the bad news.
Okay, first off, they had a tragic accident on the set.
Yeah. And back in the summer.
A stuntman died. And his name was John Berniker. He was 33 years old. And OSHA has actually fined The Walking Dead, the production company themselves, in the death of. So they saw that there was some negligibility, I guess, on the part of the production. Which we talked about this. This is one of the podcast topics we had a while back, and we talked about how important safety is.
Yep.
And so.
And I say it's bad news for the production, but I mean, it's good news that they're being held accountable. If indeed.
Well, I just mean in general.
Yeah.
It's bad to have to report about this.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And the fact that someone lost their life.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
really terrible.
Definitely.
But so it is, like you said, it is good news that there is some accountability, and especially in light of this state has had a little bit of a bad rap in terms of safety. The whole situation with, Sarah and slates for Sarah, and the whole reason that needs to be brought out. And here we go with somebody actually holding a production company accountable. So that's, felt like we need to talk about that. But there's also good news related to Walking Dead, if you're a fan of the show especially. But also, I think it's good news in general. They've been renewed again for their 9th season. Unsurprisingly. I mean, it's like...
I was on the edge of my seat.
I know you were worried. He was like itching last week.
I'm a big fan, and, I was worried.
But nobody thinks that's a surprise. But what might be a slight surprise is that Scott Gimple is actually not going to be the showrunner, but he's moving...
Scott M. Gimple.
I'm sorry. I didn't know I had to put his extra in. But... Anyway, he's not going to be...
If you watch the, Talking Dead after
that, I don't watch him often, yeah.
They were referred to him as Scott Gimple.
Okay. But, so he is moving into the Fear the Walking Dead, right?
Well, he is actually taking over... So there's a new showrunner on Walking Dead. Somebody's taking over for Scott Gimple.
And that's one of the longtime writers, Angela Kang.
Which is a very cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Female showrunner, rare.
And rewarded for her hard work. Yeah. She's been on the show for a long time.
But Scott M. Gimple is actually taking over the entirety of the Walking Dead universe. So he's kind of got a promotion. So,
right, and this is kind of funny. I mean, I didn't even realize that they were actually making it like it is a universe now.
Well, I mean, the Fear of the Walking Dead has been out for 3 seasons now. Mm-hmm. And they're tying it closer to the Walking Dead series. Right. If you haven't heard, spoiler alert, that Lenny James is going to move from the Walking Dead show to Fear the Walking Dead.
Really?
Which is interesting because Fear the Walking Dead technically right now takes place years before Walking Dead does.
Right.
So how they're going to make that crossover work, there's a lot of interesting theories, like are they going to fast forward Fear the Walking Dead to current day?
You would think they have to.
Are they going to explain, because Lenny James was not part of this cast of The Walking Dead for a couple of years.
Right.
So are they going to explain that he met up with them during this time period and it's like flashing back?
Yeah, but I mean... It
seems weird to me.
It seems very weird because of the way he disappeared, the way we met him, the way he disappeared, and the way he returned to this cast.
Well, and also the fact that the Fear the Walking Dead takes place in... Well, it starts in LA and then goes to Mexico.
Right.
So it's kind of a weird that they would cross paths at that point. So I think they're going to have to fast forward to get this.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably right.
And if you haven't watched Fear the Walking Dead, the 3rd season ended on a big cliffhanger where you don't know if anybody's alive or dead except for one character. So it does give a nice reset button for them to do that fast forward if they want to.
See, I've never watched actually Fear the Walking Dead.
So what I will say about Fear the Walking Dead is if the first season is okay, the second season is not good, and the second season is almost laughable how bad it was. I was like watching it basically to make fun of it.
Wow.
I hate watching it. But the third season was actually really, really good, and I think the third season was actually better than the most recent season of Walking Dead.
Okay. Wow. That's amazing.
So
it's amazing that a show could have lasted like that if it was really that bad. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it has a built-in fan base, so
audience,
and I think it did hurt its ratings during the second season. I think people are finally coming back to it in the third season, but now they've hit this reset button almost. So it's like, is it going to be as good going forward, or
that's probably why they moved Scott into that role to try and make sure that they keep the quality control up, right?
I think that's probably why. And I also think that's probably why they're trying to merge it into an overall universe.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. But anyway, that's The Walking Dead. That's The Walking Dead news.
That's The Walking Dead segment. And that's the end. That's the end of our industry news.
Yeah, and again, one more time I'll say, local artists, please... tell us about your work.
Yeah.
I know I'll say something about Molly Coffey, who does a podcast that's a sister podcast to us at CinemATL, the Atlanta Film Chat. She's got a short film that she's working on called Cracks, which sounds very interesting because she actually shot on 16mm film.
Nice.
And so looking forward to seeing that. So I'll talk about that one since nobody else had sent us anything.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a couple people send us things in the past couple podcasts, but nothing this time. And we just encourage you to send in stuff, or else we're going to talk about our own stuff.
And believe me, we have stuff to talk about. We really do.
In my case, it's a film that's 10 years old, but
that's right.
We've got other things to talk about too.
We have plenty of things. We have plenty of stuff.
All right, well let's stop babbling about our stuff and let's move on to.
But we have stuff.
Let's move on to the top 3.
Okay, top 3. So let's get into our top 3 segment, but I think we want to do something else before we talk about our personal top 3s.
Well, so for those of you that follow us on Twitter or Facebook, I put out a call a couple weeks ago and said, hey, we're going to talk about our favorite movies from 2017. I just kind of wanted to hear from the audience what you guys had to say. What was your favorite of 2017? And we got a couple of responses, so I just want to share. So the question was, what was your favorite
film? Yeah.
And speaking of Molly Coffey, who you just brought up, she responded and said Dave Made a Maze, which is actually a film that I actually really liked as well.
It was one that was at the Atlanta Film Festival.
Yeah, and she says, Dave Made a Maze with a close second from 3 Billboards. I am in the minority, but I hated Lady Bird. I think I'm just dead inside, maybe.
Maybe.
We'll discuss that.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll get to that. No judgments right here. Haley Van Paris said, please don't make me choose between Lady Bird, I, Tonya, and 3 Billboards. I love them for completely different reasons.
Well, that makes a nice top 3, so we won't make you choose.
We had Diane Lawton said Blade Runner 2049 by far. We talked about Blade Runner last year.
Yeah, definitely.
I reviewed it in my 4 Good Things. I had mixed reviews on that, personally. So.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it a lot, though. But yeah, I mean, it didn't make my top 3.
We had a couple people say Get Out, Catherine Smith, and then PJ DeSutter said Get Out is a once-in-a-generation phenomenon, a razor-sharp genre exercise anchored by precise filmmaking and a movie that is 100% of its moment with a palpable respect for its audience. You have to be in a packed theater to believe it's a marvel. That sounds like a review. That sounds like quoted.
I think he wants to be a guest
host. Yeah, do you want to do some reviews for CinemATL? That's pretty good. Pretty good.
No, that's a good. I mean, that's a good description of it too, because I think that's how it worked on most audiences. Precisely it hit most audience exactly like he's describing.
Exactly. And then let's see, Sarah Coral. I think I'm pronouncing that right, said, I, Tonya, it was perfect. I remember watching what happened in the news, and it stuck with me. Robbie is such a good actress. Can't wait to see her as Sharon Tate. And then The Disaster Artist was great, too, especially if you watch The Room right after or before.
And I got to see The Room. I really do. Because
you've seen The Disaster Artist.
I have seen The Disaster
Artist. And that makes you want to see the Room.
Makes me want to see The Room.
The Room is so awesome. Like and the appreciation of both those films increases.
Yeah, I gotta see it.
And then finally we have Steve Warren, who actually did reviews for CinemATL when we first launched. He says Brigsby Bear, which is I unfortunately haven't seen yet.
And I really wanted to see it.
And he says anyone who's worked on no-budget indie films should relate like I did. It's a clever twist on Room, and not The Room, but Room.
The other Room.
And that the boy released from captivity is 25, not 5. You have to see it to believe how brilliantly it all works together. This film must develop a cult following.
Well, I mean, I have to admit, this is one of the movies I missed this year. I had seen the trailer a long time ago. I knew it came to town, and albeit briefly, and I missed its window when it was in theaters. And it's
on demand right now, so you can check it out.
Yeah, but I usually don't pay for on demand, but I'm definitely going to see it at some point.
Yeah, I want to see it too. But yeah, unfortunately, I haven't. I was trying to get in all the Oscar contenders.
Right,
so we could
there was a lot.
Them.
Yeah, there was a lot of Oscar contenders that we needed to get through.
So that's our fans' opinion.
We really appreciate you
guys.
We
do appreciate your feedback, definitely. So why don't we share our top 3?
Sure, and how do we want to do it this time?
Let's just give them in order and we can talk about them.
Do it.
Let's just do it.
All right.
I'll start.
All right, good.
And now this is, my favorite movie.
Right.
Not necessarily
exactly.
Best
That's how
movies,
top 3
right?
is. It's just our favorites.
My number 1 is actually Atomic Blonde, which I will go into more. Mm-hmm. And then number 2 for me is Baby Driver, local Atlanta film. And number 3 is Dunkirk.
Wow. Okay. Let me say I love Atomic Blonde. Mm-hmm. I really do. It was close on mine, and it was actually something I was rooting for in other polls that I voted in. But my top 3, Lady Bird.
Mm-hmm.
Hear that? Baby Driver.
Cool.
And Dunkirk.
Cool.
So
pretty close here.
Yeah, exactly.
So we differed. The only one we differed on was the top one, Lady Bird. So we've danced around the issue with Molly saying that she hated it, but you loved it apparently. So you said it was your favorite from 2017. Right. I think it's overrated personally.
Wow.
So I don't land on the hated part of its scale. Mm-hmm. So I'm like the medium between you and Molly.
Well, you know what? It's possible that it's overrated. I'll grant you that it's possible that it's overrated. Mm-hmm. I mean, because I think it is technically the best reviewed film in history.
According to Rotten Tomatoes. Well, actually, it got surpassed by Paddington 2, by the way.
Wow, gosh. What's happened to Rotten Tomatoes?
Paddington 2 is a great film.
You've seen it? Oh.
I haven't seen it. Apparently people love it.
I love Lady Bird because of my sort of style of filmmaking that I love. You know what I mean? It's a classic indie movie. It's harkens back to the kind of indies that I loved when I was aspiring to be a filmmaker. It works well. The story, I mean, it just works for me. That's all. I mean, it's all I can say about it.
So for me, I liked it, but to me, it's a nice little indie film. To me, it's not the best film. And like we said, this is not playing what is a good film, but what our favorites are. Right. It just didn't resonate with me as much as other movies did last year. And then one thing that I don't, and I know you appreciate indie films, and one thing I appreciate indie films too, but one thing that kind of annoys me about indie films is they tend to meander and are more of slice of life than telling me a story. And I felt that this it had a little bit of a story, but it was basically, the relationship of Lady Bird and her mother. Yeah. But it didn't go anywhere for me. It just didn't feel like it was moving anywhere.
See, and I just think it did a lot of going for me. And it is rooted in that relationship between the mother and the daughter. And I thought that was a great story. And at the same time, and again, this gets tainted by, liking Greta Gerwig a lot actually as an actress too. I've always liked her ever since she broke out of Mumblecore, which I probably would have liked her in Mumblecore, but I sort of had a aversion to Mumblecore at the time.
Well, that's kind of what this film does remind me a little bit of Mumblecore.
But it's so much better than Mumblecore. This is what I was complaining about Mumblecore not being, is real indie type movies.
I mean, like I said, I liked it. I just didn't think it was great. And I don't necessarily wouldn't have put it on my best picture list of Oscar. If I was an Oscar voter, I wouldn't have given it that much love.
Right. Well, it's different. I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons it got a lot of love, and it was just it's the right movie, right time. Kind of like Get Out. It's really the right movie at the right time.
And we can talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that
when we get into our Oscar discussion. I mean, I think we both liked Get Out, but we have also some things to say about it. But
let's talk about the 2 and 3 on both.
Well, I didn't talk about Atomic Blonde, which was my number one.
True, yeah. I want you to talk about that because I want to talk about it.
Which, if you haven't seen it, and apparently a lot of people haven't seen it because it didn't do that great. And it was a movie for me that I stumbled upon it. My wife and I went and saw it because we were like, well, let's go see a movie. And they're like, well, Atomic Blonde, that looks, maybe that could be good. I don't know. But we hadn't heard anything about it, and it had been out for a couple weeks. But I saw it, and I was blown away by it. The cinematography alone in that movie is terrific. The way it's shot, and just the feel of it, it's set in the 80s. The soundtrack is great.
Yes.
There's some great performances in it, not just from Charlize Theron, but from...
James McAvoy.
I was going to say young Patrick Stewart. McAvoy's great. John Goodman's great in it. Yes. And it's just I don't know, something about it just captured me the right way. It's just, and even I did a review of it for Four Good Things, and one of the things that even attracted me was the costume design.
Oh yeah.
And if I'm paying attention to how good the costume design is, I mean that's probably pretty good.
That movie is very captivating. Yeah. I mean it really.
And it's an action film. It's cool.
It's a fantastic action film. Yeah. I mean, ridiculous action film. I mean, this is if you're going to make an action movie, make it like this because it's amazing action movie. But it's also a really great movie on all the other levels too.
So that was both of our number ones. Let's talk about what we both agreed was number 2 and number 3.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty amazing. They actually landed right in the same spot on the list.
Baby Driver, of course. We talked a lot about this.
Yeah.
It's awesome that it was filmed in Atlanta. I mean, we both love Edgar Wright, just in general.
Absolutely.
And this is just another great filmmaking.
Talk about action movies. I mean, he is one of the best action directors that people don't even realize is an action director.
Yeah, and we talked about, I think we've mentioned this before, but if you haven't seen The World's End. What that action sequence is ridiculous too. Yeah, it's great. But there's some great action sequences in Baby Driver with all the driving sequences. They're just done And everything, the thing that works so well about Baby Driver is the soundtrack.
Absolutely.
And deservedly, they got nominated for sound mixing and sound editing as well as editing.
Yeah.
Because this whole movie relies on
it's based on the music. Yeah. It's totally. I mean, did you see? I don't know if you follow him. I follow him, and he put like the excerpt of the script. You saw that?
He said there was a script. He wrote his draft of his script.
Right.
He had like a little forward at the beginning saying, this movie is supposed to be set to music, and that's why this feels like a shooting script more than a first draft. But then he also said in there, he said, I expect it to win, to be nominated for sound mixing. At the very least, I expect it to be nominated for sound mixing at the 2016 Oscars. So he was very he was off by a year, but
he's prophetic. Definitely. That's pretty amazing. But the fact that he knew, I mean, that's what's so impressive about it, is that it's a movie set to music in every sense of the word.
Yeah. And the soundtrack's great. I mean, just on its own, but then to set it to the action sequences, and there's some great performances in it too.
Well, here's where do you think it was hurt because of one of the actors in it?
I don't think this was hurt by that. I don't think it probably would have been nominated anyway. At least not for Best Picture.
Right. But I mean, it's as good as some of the nominees for Best Picture.
I agree, but I also don't think it was getting buzz before that even happened.
Probably.
Although it was getting good reviews. I don't know if it was getting Oscar type buzz. Now, the film that was probably hurt by it was Disaster Artist. I think got hurt.
Yeah, that was so recent though.
I still think it hurt. I think the late voting.
Right, I guess so. When did the voting close on that?
It was like a week after.
Yeah, we're still in top 3.
Yeah, I know. We're still doing top 3, but yeah.
Right.
You're the one that took it off.
I know. I threw us off the rails. My bad.
But yeah, I mean, you're jumping around. We didn't say that. I mean, the fact that Kevin Spacey's in it, it might, say what you will about Kevin Spacey. I mean, his acting was still good.
Absolutely,
doesn't mean we like.
No, we don't like what we've heard.
And how far do you go separate the art from the artist, right?
Well, if you're Ridley Scott, you really separate it.
Yeah. Which is
that's a whole nother thing
we talk about. but yeah, I mean, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched it. We got it on DVD for Christmas, and I haven't watched it since that news came down about Kevin Spacey. So I don't know how if it's going to affect me just thinking about it. But
I haven't either.
I kind of normally have an easy way to separate, the performance from the person. So
I absolutely do too. I certainly don't. I don't let that enter my mind when I'm watching the actual film.
But I mean, on the other hand, Jamie Foxx and God, I'm blanking on his name.
Ansel Elgort?
Well, it wasn't. John Hamm was the other one.
Oh, John Hamm.
Ansel Elgort does a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I like when I first I was like, who's this guy with a weird name?
Who's this person?
But I like John Hamm in it, playing kind of against type for him.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And then Jamie Foxx does a good job.
Yeah, always does a good job.
So that's Baby Driver.
And then Dunkirk. And Dunkirk, I'll start off with why it's on mine. It's actually the biggest sort of achievement in film. Kind of.
Like a spectacle.
It's the biggest spectacle of the year in terms of movie making. And it works really well. It's really interesting. It does something a little bit different than most movies. And he's a very precise filmmaker. Christopher Nolan is a fantastic filmmaker in general.
The filmmaking, if you look at, and I had this discussion with a friend of mine at work, and he didn't really care for Dunkirk, but when we started talking about it, I was telling him, if you look at it as a filmmaking achievement, it is spectacular.
Absolutely.
Like, taking out story and, performances, but just like looking at just the filmmaking aspect of it. I'm not to say that performances are fine.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that a lot of people might have problems with is the fact that you don't really get to. It's not a typical tale, a 3-act tale,
right?
And you don't really get to spend time with the characters as much as you might want to,
right,
in a traditional movie. But the way it's done is so powerful that I feel like that's not necessary.
Right, and that's the achievement of it. It is doing something completely different than what you would expect a film to do.
Yeah.
And yet it still works and is compelling.
Yeah, and the way it's told with 3 timelines that are going on screen simultaneously, but not in timeline.
Right, exactly.
Mode. It's a very interesting way to put it together.
Yeah.
And then the cinematography is
fantastic.
Terrific.
Yeah.
And then the score is very, it's interesting because it's not very musical, but it's very
right.
It's very well done, and it's one of those things that just like drives you into the action of the film, and it's like this like ticking clock. And in fact, it's like the ticking.
Absolutely.
It's basically the score, right?
Right.
But it's it's very well done. But yeah, and that's I mean, out of all the films that were nominated for Best Picture, that's my choice for Best Picture. I know you have Lady Bird that's higher, but like we can get into that discussion.
Well, here's the thing. I would not sort of.
Yeah, what's an Oscar movie?
Right,
This is the question.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, this is just my favorite.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't think it's going to win the Oscar.
Yeah.
Honestly, it probably doesn't deserve to win the Oscar.
You're talking about Lady Bird.
Right. But, I wouldn't mind if it did.
Yeah.
But I do think Dunkirk is probably a better Oscar choice for Best Picture.
I mean, why don't we get into the Oscar discussion right now?
Do it.
Let's just do it. Yeah. It's like not a big movie review.
Well, let's recap top 3 really quickly.
Okay. Yes. So my top 3 was Atomic Blonde, Baby Driver, and Dunkirk.
And my top 3: Lady Bird, Baby Driver, and Dunkirk.
Sounds repetitive, but it's true. All right, time for our big Oscar review.
So the Oscars have been announced.
Well, the nominees have been announced.
Well, the Oscar nominees have been announced.
The nominee, yes, they came out yesterday as of when we're filming this.
Right.
I don't know when you're watching this or listening to this.
Could have been
sometime
a couple
in the
days
future.
Ago. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so we figured we would go through, instead of doing a movie review, we'd talk about our opinions on some of these things.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good way to recap the year, probably.
And just to lead back from where we were just discussing in our top 3, the differences between an Oscar movie and what a favorite movie versus what you would consider an Oscar movie. And that's one of the things, and I'm going to read the Best Picture nominees right now.
Okay, sure.
For Best Picture, the nominees were Call Me By Your Name, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post, The Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Now, what I was going to say is, I was a little disappointed in the Best Picture nominees this year because, not that they're bad movies, it's just that they're a lot of small movies. And to me, like, the Oscars used to be about the big achievements
right,
in spectacle filmmaking, which that's why, for me, Dunkirk is the obvious choice, not just because I liked it, but also because it's a big movie, and it's the movie I think you're going to remember more. I mean, it's kind of the same thing that we talked, that you go back to the days when Saving Private Ryan lost to Shakespeare in Love.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, which one do you remember more? Which one has more of the impact nowadays? I think years from now, people will be appreciating Dunkirk more than maybe some of these other movies. But, that's my opinion. Right.
No, and I totally agree. And I kind of think, in for better or worse, the Oscars are a little bit like the Olympics, right? It's an award that should go to sort of the biggest achievement, right?
Yeah.
The biggest achievement. Not necessarily your favorite thing.
Yeah.
but the biggest achievement. And the movies used to reflect that. It used to be more sort of heavyweight movies. Whereas this year, you're right, there's a lot of lightweight movies that are great in their own respect.
And you can decide yourself whether that's good or bad. In my opinion, that's just it's changed a little bit.
Sure.
I mean, I remember, in last year even, La La Land was the perfect Oscar movie. It should probably, based off of previous years, it probably should have won. But the little movie that could, Moonlight, actually was, the winner.
Right.
And there's a lot to be said to opening up diversity and opening up filmmaking to all audiences. And,
absolutely. And
I do appreciate that, but there's also a part of me that wishes that we would get back to telling, the more
grand stories.
Yeah.
I get it. I totally get it. Nostalgically, I agree with you. Now, that doesn't mean. Honestly, there may not be very many movies like Dunkirk that came out this year.
Yeah.
And so that's probably why there's not heavyweight movies.
Well, because even the ones that maybe you consider snubs weren't really even the big movies, right? Like, I mean, like I, Tonya wasn't. That's not a big movie.
No, it's not a big movie. Yeah.
You know, Disaster Artist was a small movie.
Definitely.
Florida Project was a very small movie.
Yeah.
Those didn't get nominated for Best Picture, but you know they were in the discussion. I guess the only big one that was kind of more of a snub that was in the discussion was Wonder Woman. That would have been. But that, you know,
it's
Oscars
a comic book movie,
always have problem with genre films.
Yeah.
Which is kind of surprising, which is why Get Out getting a nomination is kind of surprising.
No, it's and that's a good thing. I mean, there's really good things about this list, and there's and there's also the little bit of nostalgic bad thing about it, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, let's go So I saw 6 of the 9 movies.
And I saw 7 of them.
Aren't you special?
I'm one more special than you.
You know, out of the other films that were nominated, I would say my next favorite was actually the Post, which I just saw the previous weekend, and that to me it also goes back to the more standard. You know, it's a Spielberg movie.
Sure,
It's a movie about
big
politics,
event, right?
a big event. You know what I mean? That type of thing. And maybe I'm just old fashioned.
Well, you're also have a fondness for journalism.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I do too, but I'm just saying you even more so.
Yeah. Some of the other ones that were getting a lot of attention, 3 Billboards, which got a lot of love.
Yeah, it got a lot of love all over award season.
To me, and I did a review on this as well. There was things all these movies. There's a lot of things I appreciate about it, but it wasn't enough to make me like it,
right?
Or really love it,
right? I agree with that.
Like the performances in that are really good,
sure, absolutely.
But the story for me is,
yeah.
And I had trouble rooting for like a character. Like Frances McDormand's character is real hard to root for as a main character, and then of course Sam Rockwell's character is a racist cop. So I mean, I do appreciate the arcs that they had, and I do appreciate things about it. But it's also one of those movies that was like tough, kind of tough to watch sometimes.
Right.
Kind of like last year with Manchester by the Sea. It's very similar feel of mood in that one. Of course, I didn't see Phantom Thread. But
I did.
What was your? I mean, I've heard different opinions. I've heard a lot of people think it's really slow and
it is really slow. I mean, it's
not Paul Thomas Anderson's best work, even though he got nominated for.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about the movie. I mean, super well done, great performance. I think it's going to be Daniel Day-Lewis's last performance if you take him at his word that he's retiring. Leslie Manville did a great job. She got nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Impeccable period piece. This is sort of a movie that is in a traditional Oscar sense. So in that way,
period genre,
period genre movie, but it is a bit slow. It is a bit sort of hard to penetrate. It's like it in a way. You remember There Will Be Blood. You remember sort of how that movie was a little bit slow, a little bit plodding, and then in reality, not much happened.
Yeah.
And this is very similar in that sense.
Well, I think There Will Be Blood, Daniel Day-Lewis's performance is so powerful in that movie.
Right.
Which I'm assuming, not having seen it, is not the same type of performance.
It's definitely not the same type of performance. It's still a wonderful performance. But at the same time, what is it serving? The story that it's serving is not,
Yeah. So, and then Darkest Hour, I just recently watched that as well, which is kind of interesting because it's, about Churchill and Dunkirk.
And Dunkirk plays a role, yeah.
Plays a big part of the movie. To me, I did like the performance by Gary Oldman.
Absolutely.
The makeup should get. I think they should get the Oscar for that, just because he does not look anything like Gary Oldman in this movie.
Right.
And so he does a good job. But I think, to me, it feels more like the makeup is doing the performance than he is.
Well, at the same time, though,
that's what sells me more.
I think, and one of the things, this is one of the movies I didn't see in the theater, which may have played a little bit of role, because there were some parts of this that are a really grand spectacle.
Yeah.
And Joe Wright, of course, is a really fine film.
He did Adaptation and some of the things,
Well, he did, what is it?
I didn't say that.
No, he didn't Adaptation.
Atonement is what
Atonement,
I'm talking about, not Adaptation.
couple others, and he's done some really grand things, and in this he does too a little bit, but it's
more subdued.
It feels more about a small performance piece.
I mean, it's a war movie without a war scene in it.
Sure, it's similar. It's similar to Lincoln, except it doesn't have as big of a scope of Lincoln. In a lot of ways.
I mean, like I said, it was a good movie. I don't know if it's a great movie.
Right.
Shape of Water. That's one of the ones I have not seen.
And I've seen Shape of Water, and it's a fine film. Sally Hawkins is really great in it. The movie, though, is not Guillermo del Toro's best work.
Yeah.
So, it's like it's a good movie, but I don't know if it's the best movie of the year.
But neither of us have seen Call Me by Your Name.
No.
Unfortunately, so we can't really talk about that. And then, I mean, we haven't really talked. Get Out is probably the last movie we haven't talked about on this list. In detail. So we had some thoughts on that. Yeah, definitely. And Get Out is one of the movies, the more surprising movies of the year in terms of its success, and also how well it worked for audiences. I mean, that actually did surprise me. I enjoyed it a lot. Do I think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread? No. But it works really well. Jordan Peele had a brilliant concept. He executed it extremely well. I'm glad he's nominated for Best Director. He really did everything perfectly. But it doesn't... Still, the movie isn't the greatest thing since sliced bread. Yeah, and... I didn't see it until it came out on HBO, and by that time it had been discussed. So, and put on this pedestal. So it was a little disappointing to me. But I mean, like I said, it's a good movie. It's really good. It's really well done. There's some very good themes that come out of it, and some the ending is very surprising. Right. But yeah, at the end of the day, is it an Oscar movie? And any other year, I don't know if it would be. Right. Well, but it is surprising. It's cool. I think it's great that some more genre movies are getting attention. So it's cool. This is a Blumhouse movie. Yeah. And Blumhouse sometimes gets a little disrespect for doing things cheaply and doing genre and like quick hitters kind of. But obviously, good filmmaking is good filmmaking, and this is a really good film. Oh, it's well done. Very well done. It's really good film, and it was like, again, the right movie at the right time, which I also say the same about Lady Bird. Lady Bird is the right movie at the right time. It's not, another year people might not have Lady Bird might not have resonated with people as much as it did this year. So let's move on and talk about some of the other let's talk about the other categories. All right. So what do you want to talk about? Which category would you like to discuss? Well, let's talk about supporting actor first. Supporting actor. This is one, and you just like you mentioned earlier, like the nominees are all sort of repetitive in a sense that a few of the films got nominated in every category. Yeah. I think it was like different this year. Like I was like going through the list of like just the total number of films that were nominated, and it seems like lower than previous years. Like normally you would have like one film that was only nominated in one category, but like scattered about, you'd have a bunch of different films. But this is a perfect example. It's like you've got like the 3 billboards of having. So I'm gonna read them off here real quick. You got Willem Dafoe for Florida Project, Woody Harrelson for 3 Billboards, Richard Jenkins for Shape of Water, Christopher Plummer for All the Money in the World, and Sam Rockwell for 3 Billboards. So you have 3 Billboards in here twice, but then you also do. This is one of the cases where you do have a little bit of other films popping in there, like The Florida Project and All the Money in the World. Right. Well, what's interesting about this is that I think that's the only nomination for All the Money in the World. It is, and it's the only nomination for The Florida Project too. But I mean, and we just talked about that's the replacement. Actor. And he's the only thing nominated in the movie. That's kind of weird. Yeah. Well, I haven't seen the movie. That's one of the movies I haven't seen, actually. I thought it was kind of... Well, I haven't seen it either, but I thought it was kind of weird when it was nominated for a Golden... When Christopher Plummer was nominated for a Golden Globe, and it came out like the week before the nominations were even just announced. Like, did anybody actually see his performance, or did they just nominate him? I don't know how because someone said, like, this is the quickest road to Oscar glory ever, because he was hired 2 months ago.
And now he's nominated for an Oscar.
Like I said, I haven't seen it, but I heard he kills it though. Like I heard he's like really good.
He's an amazing actor. Yeah. But
and we talked, and before the podcast, we talked about Florida Project was one of the ones that was like getting some Oscar buzz for other things like Best Picture, which I didn't think it would deserve Best Picture by any rate.
No.
And I actually don't really. I personally didn't think Willem Dafoe did anything great shakes in this film either.
He does bring a little bit of heart. I mean, I think he brings a lot of heart to the role.
A lot of heart to it, but it's very.
But yeah, I mean, I think this is the fact that Willem Dafoe's been great for many years.
Yeah,
one of those things, and that happens all the time.
I mean, out of those performances, though, I haven't seen Shape of Water, so I can't really say I'm Richard Jenkins, but Sam Rockwell, I think, I thought he was great in Three Billboards.
He was. Yeah.
I'm personally rooting for him.
Yeah, and I
thought Woody Harrelson was great in Three Billboards too. So.
Sure, but I think Woody. I think Woody does a good job, but I think Sam does a great job, and so I would in this category I would go for Sam Rockwell,
especially the arc that his character has,
right? And then again,
the things that he does, like.
And one of the reasons is Sam Rockwell's done tremendous work for many years too, but this one I think the performance is actually really great too.
And so, We talk in between when we're doing this podcast, and we talked about actors and actresses getting nominations just based off of previous performances. Right. And if we look at the actresses in the supporting role, one of the people we talked about was Octavia Spencer, because you said you saw Shape of Water and you were like, this is just Octavia Spencer.
Yeah, she does a great job, but like a regular job. I mean, for her. I mean, she's very talented and she does a great job in almost every role, but this is almost like every role she's done.
So we got in that category we have Mary J. Blige for Mudbound, Allison Janney for I, Tonya, Leslie Manville for Phantom Thread, and Laurie Metcalf for Lady Bird, along with Octavia Spencer. Right. I thought Allison Janney was pretty good in I, Tonya. I mean, and Laurie Metcalf, they both play similar type. I mean, they're different characters, but they're both the mom, the tough mom. In Allison Janney's case, she's crazy, and Laurie Metcalf, she's the more put upon mom, but with a good heart.
Mm-hmm. I think
either of those could.
Either of them should win probably, but I would give the edge to sort of Laurie Metcalf. I think she was wonderful.
I thought her role was a little bit more subtle. Her performance was a little bit more subtle. So I do appreciate out of Lady Bird. I do appreciate her role out of anything in that movie. So I would like to see her. Actor, we've got. Timothy Chalamet for Call Me By Your Name, Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread, Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out, Gary Oldman for Darkest Hour, and Denzel Washington for Roman J. Israel Esquire.
Right.
And once again, we talk about, is he getting...
we can't... It's hard to say. I would never say that about Denzel, because Denzel is probably the best actor going, in my opinion. So, but I didn't see this movie, so I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the trailer looks like he did something different in the role, so I appreciate that. But, we talked about, the history of just giving, and the way the Oscars work is like you try to give people, Gary Oldman is, again, he's done great work in the past. Right. But this, Darkest Hour, he does do a terrific job. This one's hard for me to tell. Like, I haven't seen Daniel Day-Lewis's performance yet, so...
Well, here's the bad thing about this, and Daniel Day-Lewis does a great job, but this is his last movie, so this has got a little bit of sort of a sentimentality to it, probably for voters.
That's the thing you have to take about. That's what I'm saying. It's like there's a lot of sentimentality in the nomination process and in the voting process.
Well, so we even talked about it too, that we wanted a little more sentimentality in part. So it's weird because we're complaining about it on one hand, and yet we're
just not happy with anything.
No, I know, but and I have to say that Daniel Kaluuya does a fantastic job.
Oh yeah, he was terrific in that.
So I don't have a front runner in this at all.
Although Get Out, the performance that really got me was and I don't know the actress's name, but the woman.
Which one?
She's like the. I don't want to give anything away.
Georgina
she's like
Walker. is her name. Actually.
Okay, she was terrific. She was
good,
terrific, and I wish she would have got something, but
like a supporting role. Like, why not her in the other? But Daniel does a great job. For me, I would pick either Daniel or Gary Oldman if I had to pick.
Yeah. And then actress, we have Sally Hawkins for Shape of Water, Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards, Margot Robbie for I, Tonya, and
Saoirse
Ronan for Lady Bird, and Meryl Streep for The Post. I
and
can never pronounce her name.
Talk about, like, I mean, you saw The Post, so maybe I'm wrong, but she just put her in, right?
Well, I guess. Yeah, I mean, yeah, normally I would say that, but I think she's really good in The Post, and she's the driving force behind that movie. Okay. It's her movie. So. I
got it, but I'm just saying, like, this is the least unexpected nomination.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at that movie, you know, Tom Hanks and her are on the Post. They're the main. But it's her movie. Sure. It's not Tom Hanks' movie.
Okay,
it's her movie, and she does a good job. But that being said, I wouldn't give her the award. I think, you know, Frances McDormand does a better job, and I actually think Margot Robbie does a terrific job in I, Tonya.
She does.
Although I talked in my I, Tonya review is that I love Sebastian Stan in I, Tonya, and he didn't get nominated for a supporting role. But
no, I think they're all really good. Sally Hawkins, though, is fantastic in The Shape of Water. So I would give the edge to her out of my choices, and of course not having seen the.
There was a thread going on the Atlanta film community on the Facebook page about, since Sally Hawkins doesn't say anything, is she really just an extra?
What?
It's a joke. It's a joke.
That's crazy. That's crazy, but funny if it's a joke. Yes. Okay.
So yeah, those are the main acting ones. Let's talk about. I mean, let's just jump around some other things because we're running out of time. But cinematography, like, I mean, this is going to be a tough one. Blade Runner was a really great movie. Dunkirk was really great, and like I said, Atomic Blonde didn't even get nominated, and I think that was my favorite. But I think I'm gonna. I mean, and Roger Deakins. Talk about cinematography again.
Exactly.
He's been nominated so much, and he's done so many great movies.
Yeah.
If you just go on IMDb and look at his credits, they're just tremendous. They are so ridiculous. Yeah. That he hasn't won an Oscar yet, so I think he needs to win it.
He does need to win. It's great, and Dunkirk is great too. Yeah. But I want Roger Deakins.
Directing, I mean, we've got Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, Shape of Water. Here, I don't know why Lady Bird was nominated for directing. I mean, I like the movie. I mean, like the movie enough, but it's
Give it to Greta. Give it to Greta.
I mean, it's great. I like that women. I like that there's a woman nominee, but I really think it should have been Patty Jenkins instead of her.
You know, that would have. For Wonder Woman. I would not have been mad about that.
We talk about spectacle versus like as far as directing.
No doubt.
Is there anything in Lady Bird that's really high on that? I mean,
yeah. In this one though, I think I'm actually maybe rooting for Jordan Peele because of the execution was just perfect.
Yeah,
because I don't think they're gonna give it to Christopher Nolan.
I don't think so either, and I think it's only because of the fact that, like I said, it's not your traditional story. Right. Therefore, you know, you might get knocked for like.
Well, this is his first nomination, which is kind of
really
odd to know. But yeah, I mean, I just don't. I think there's a little bit of a coldness towards him. You know what I mean?
You know, Paul Thomas Anderson and Guillermo del Toro both have a lot of love behind them.
They're heavyweights,
so
yes.
It's going to be hard for Jordan Peele to break through, but I think it would be great if he did. And in fact, I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, I am too, because like I said, the reason it worked so well, the reason it resonated is perfect execution.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time. We could jump around so many things. One thing I did want to mention is that there is a short film called DeKalb Elementary, which is interesting because it's based off of a story from DeKalb school shooting incident where the lady talked him out of shooting. Right. It's not about that. It's based off of that story. Right. So it's interesting that it wasn't shot. I don't think it was shot here. I think it was shot in L.A. But that was interesting to see that come up. And then, you know, we talk about Baby Driver, sound mixing, all that stuff. It's rooting for them.
First female cinematographer nomination too.
Yeah,
for Mudbound, which I haven't seen. So maybe she should win.
It's on Netflix.
I don't know.
You can see it.
Yeah.
All right. We gotta move on though. Unfortunately. So time for the movie game. Right?
You know, wait. I mean, we haven't talked about screenplays, and we're both screenwriters, so I think we owe it to talk about it just briefly.
All right. Well, if people complain about the time, it's your fault.
Okay.
But let's talk about screenplays.
So, like adapted screenplay, where the surprise here is Logan. right?
That's interesting. Yes, comic book movie has never been nominated for that type of award before, so that's kind of interesting.
It was refreshing to see that. For sure.
Although, like, for me, my soft spot for that is The Disaster Artist. I would love to see that win.
And I think Molly's Game is a fantastic script, very good. So I don't know who I would pick. I kind of would like to see Logan just to break some new ground.
I don't have as much love for Logan as a lot of other people do.
Okay.
It's a good movie, not great movie. And an original screenplay, well, of course, your favorite, Lady Bird, is there.
And this, though, I would also, the three at the top here, or the Big Sick. What's the name of Big Sick? Get Out, Lady Bird, Shape of Water, and Three Billboards. Mm-hmm. Any of the first three, I would really like to see.
I would love to see the Big Sick.
I love the Big Sick too. That's one I wouldn't mind it.
When we talk about Oscar snubs, I think that's the only nomination they got.
Yeah,
I love that movie. I thought
that was
really
fantastic. Good. I think Ray Romano should have been the best supporting actor.
Ray Romano was great in that movie. Yeah. Talk about underappreciated. Well, maybe if Ray Romano gets skipped over enough times, he'll get an Oscar a couple of years. So. It'll
be a while.
Ray Romano is actually, I mean, for somebody who started really as just a stand-up comedian, he's become a really good actor. Absolutely. Like, I don't know if you've seen Get Shorty, the Epics.
No, show. I want to see that.
He's really good in that too.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it. Let's talk now.
Well, now you got me started talking about other things. Okay. Well.
All right.
Movie game. Let's move on.
Very quickly.
Very quickly, I will explain the rules to the movie game for those that haven't been with us before. Basically, it's a movie chain. So one of us will name a movie, the other one will have to name an actor or actress from that movie, and then the other person will have to name another movie that actor or actress was in. So we keep going until one of us can't make it.
Right.
The only other rule is you can't name a movie or actor twice in the same chain, although sequels are allowed.
Right.
So, and then it's the first to two
Yep.
wins. So, and Martin kicks my ass on a regular basis. But occasionally I.
It's a new year. It's a new year. This could be your New Year's resolution is to win.
Okay. So, who do you want to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
The Big Sick.
The Big Sick. Well, let's go with Ray Romano.
Oh, Mooseport.
Oh, jeez. Welcome to Mooseport is actually the name of the title.
So did I screw it up?
Technically, I could say that you lost, but
okay.
Maybe I should because I don't remember anything else in that movie.
Oh, it's dealer's choice.
Mooseport. Oh, who was in that? See this. Right away. Crash and Burn. I don't know. I can't remember who else was in it.
Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman. That's what I was. Yeah, I vaguely saw him in my head, but I couldn't think of the name.
All right, you go ahead.
Okay, so Martin's up 1-0. I will start with. Let's go with Blade Runner 2049.
Ooh, this one would be tough. So I'm just gonna go with Harrison Ford.
Let's say.
Because there's two women in that who could have been supporting actors too.
That's true. Yeah.
But go ahead. Sorry.
Harrison Ford. Let's just say. Try not to do the obvious, but. I'm just gonna go with the obvious. Let's just do Star Wars: Force Awakens.
Okay, Star Wars: Force Awakens. Adam Driver. Oh man. I know some movies with him, but I'm trying to think of one in particular that I can't remember the name to. While We're Young. What's it?
While We're Young.
Oh yeah. Ben Stiller.
Yep. Zoolander.
Ooh, Zoolander. Let me go with Billy Zane.
Ooh. Oh man. I want to say a movie, but I think you'll challenge me and I won't know the answer to it. I'm just gonna say Titanic.
Oh, okay. Kate Winslet.
What was that movie? Triple. What's it called? 999.
Oh, okay.
999. Yeah.
999. E. Roger Mitchell.
E. Roger Mitchell was also in American Made.
Correct. Domhnall Gleeson.
I can't say the other movie that would be going back to another movie that we've already named.
Yeah.
Or that I could say the sequel. But I'm not going to. I'm going to say Revenant.
Revenant. Okay. That's okay. So that brings us to Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. Inception.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Manic.
Manic's a pretty good one. Let me think. Oh, Don Cheadle. I should have said Eldon Henson.
You should have. Because then I could have said Mighty Ducks, but then we're not going there. We'll go with Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3. Gwyneth Paltrow.
Shakespeare in Love.
Tom Wilkinson.
Oh, what was that movie? Oh, why am I drawing a blank? Oh, what was the name of that film? Tom Wilkinson. No, I'm drawing a blank. I'm trying to think of one particular film. I can't remember the name of it.
The Sundance one?
No, the comedy that he's in.
Okay.
But now I'm losing track of any movie he's in because I'm trying to think of that
He's in
movie.
like hundreds of
I
them.
know. Oh, freaking. What was the name of that movie? All right, I'm totally drawing a blank. I'll challenge you.
Challenging me to name a Tom Wilkinson movie?
I've totally lost it at this point. My mind's blank.
Well, since it's Sundance, I'll say
That's the other movie. I can't
In
remember.
the Bedroom.
In the Bedroom. Yeah.
So
What was the movie he was in with
Vince Vaughn?
With Vince Vaughn and the other Franco.
Yeah, that's a tough
Company
one.
Man or something.
Company? No, it's not called Company Man. It's
Can't
just something similar to that.
Yeah,
though. It's something similar to that.
That was what I was trying to think of, and then I was just sort of
that's a funny movie to me. But, okay.
All right, well, Martin wins the movie game as usual. Sorry, at least our
It was
last
a good
round was
chain,
a
though. It was a
fairly
good
good
chain.
So anyway, yeah, thanks you for joining us again for our first podcast of the new year.
Of the new year, yeah.
We hope you
With the new equipment.
We hope you liked our Oscar discussion. If you've got other things that you'd like to talk about with the Oscars, please give us some comment below if you're on YouTube, or comment on SoundCloud or Facebook or Twitter. Exactly. Let us know what you think. Yeah. And then, of course, we also want you to share this podcast and also share what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, see you next time. Listen to us next time. And
we also want to give thanks first to Eureka Failure for the music, which we have. They provide kindly to us every podcast.
That's right.
But yeah, so we'll be back next month with an actual movie review.
Yep, big movie review next month.
And I don't know, maybe have a guest, maybe not.
Yeah, we'll see.
But we want you to be involved, so let us know.
Definitely. Thanks.
All right. See you next time.